in this video I'm going to show how I went about finding a good tone using two different amps and also using Axe Edit instead of using the screen interface on the unit itself. I figure that it's a lot easier on the Axe Edit because you see your whole screen displayed in front of you, and you can get a little more in depth without having to figure out which knob does what. So hopefully this will help. The guitar that I'm using is a Schecter KM7. It's using passive pickups. So if you're using actives, this patch might not sound exactly the same, but I'm gonna start from scratch and hopefully be able to get something decent. I'm gonna base it off a patch that I previously made. So hopefully it can go pretty smoothly. Just gonna start the screen recording. Okay, so this is the patch I made previously. This is it's EVH with balls because it's a 5150 head, citrus cab, which is the orange cab, and then also an angle Powerball amp for the punchy low end. So I'm going to do something similar. Alright, so I set up this patch for the video so we could start. One thing that I like to do is only have one input, just because it saves up on the CPU thing, which you'll notice up here. If you have each of them come in through individual inputs, you'll have a you'll have a drive pedal for each and whatnot, and then it kind of gets complicated. So what I like to do is just I'll set a noise gate. Okay. Then we can set let's see, I like to set a compressor. And then we can do a drive. And then from here we can split the signal. So in order to do that, let's do this, go here, this, go to here, and then we can set the amps here. So something with the amps, if you want to mess around with other amps, you can go to this website right here. I'll put a link. It's basically Fractal Audio Wiki, like a Wikipedia site with all the amps. Kind of explains what they are. I think some of these have to deal with the Ultra. I think they kind of go on. Some of these weren't actually on mine, but either way, you could figure it out. So anyways, back to Axe Edit. So now I'm going to use this as an amp. I'll work with the first one actually. We'll just do this one first. So actually, what am I doing? We're going to set it. Okay, wow, it's already set energy ball because that was the last one I made. Then here we'll just put the cab. So we will. I like doing the high res. I think this is in stereo. You could use like this one where you'll have two cabs, but then I think having two amps and then you'll have a total of four cabs would kind of get crazy. So I'm just gonna stick with this. Let's see, I'm gonna use let's see, Uber V30. Let's see, what did I use? Try this one out. Okay, so that's what we'll use for this setup here. I'm actually just gonna bring this all the way down here. Oops. There we go. Okay, and then I'll set another amp here. This one I'm going to use the high gain 5150, so that's the red. And then here we're going to use, I like the citrus cab, or well, it's the orange cab, just because it kind of adds a nice mid and a little like fuzziness to it, so it gives a little more character. But obviously you could use whichever one you feel comfortable. Okay, so that's over here. This guy. Alright, so now I'm just going to connect them. See what I'm using here. Oh, this is the RW. That's fine. Okay, so now that I'm just basically setting up this signal chain, the method that I use is that I will find the frequencies of these amp setups that I like the most. So, for example, with the energy ball or the angle amp, I like the low end punchiness. So what I'll do is I'll actually set up a filter, just a filter here, and then I will cut it at around, let's see, I'll cut it back around maybe 2000. We could try it, but and then just put it like -10. We'll try this in a minute, but I'm just setting up the basic idea here. This is just basically the layout, and then I can start messing around with the settings. So I'll definitely bypass all these for now. This is for the 5150, and since I like the higher end of the frequency spectrum for this amp, what I'll do is I'll basically do the opposite of the first one, and I will I'm gonna put frequency at, I don't know, we'll try like, let's see 500, and oh yeah, I have to set the other one as a low pass, and this one is a high pass. So, and we'll do about like -10. So yeah, this one obviously has to be set as a, let's see, a low pass, right? Yeah, low pass, because the low pass takes away the high, and the high pass takes away the low, which is kind of silly. But anyways, so now what I like to put in line with these is a volume. Basically, this lets you mix your the ratios of each amp. So I figured out that kind of works nicely. You could put another filter after this if you want. It might get a little complicated. I figure anything that's after the mix between the two amps, you could take care of in a DAW of some sort. Your DAW. So let's see. All right, so now I think I'm gonna add another volume thing here just so it doesn't make my recording software clip. I'm actually gonna break the signal here. So that's basically gonna let us kind of work on this one amp. So right now we're just using the angle. So it has a low punchy kind of thing. So anyways, now that we'll look here, probably want to turn boost on. Let's see. For now, we'll leave that bright. That's pretty good. So let's see. We kind of want this to be bassy, but what I found is this has so much punch that I definitely like to keep the cut on for it. Let's see, you can kind of pull back on the treble because the point of this is to cancel out the treble of this amp. Let's see. Now what we're going to do is go to the cab, and I want to choose a mic. Let's see, I usually like the 421 for this. That's just from me trying that mic out a few times, so here, I'm actually gonna get rid of that. There we go. That's actually the sound we were looking for. Okay. So that looks pretty good for now. Alright. So now what I'm gonna do is try to get a good low tone out of this amp that we can mix in with the high of the other one. So if we turn this filter back on, there you go, turn this filter on. It has a decent punch, you can feel it if you do it. It has the typical punch that these amps are known for. So if you look at the frequency spectrum, so we're at 2000. Okay, so I think this is okay. So this is going to be the low end that we hear. even turn up the input a little bit. Let's say like 8. Let's leave it 8. Let's see. That's good. That's like a nice punch for a low end. So now we're gonna do pretty much the same thing just for this guy. So we're gonna disconnect that, and now we're going through the 5150 with the citrus cab. Okay, so if we filter that, we'll hear the high end and there'll be no low. Okay, so let's go through here and we can change it. I'm gonna put this at like 6. Because I kind of like the drive sound more from the angle amp more than this. So hopefully that'll be able to cut through a little bit. Let's see what we got for the cab. Now, since this is kind of going to be accenting the highs of this amp, I think it'd be pretty reasonable to use a 57 just because those are obviously known for their highs. You could mess with the other stuff here too, but basically I'm just trying to show you how to set up a basic sound, and you can kind of tweak whatever you want. So this will give you a good platform hopefully. So yeah, there's that. That's with the filter. Okay, so now if we want to hear what the 2 amps sound like together, we'll just do this. So let's see what we got. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now, what I want to look at is this drive pedal here. Let's see what we have it set as here. Okay, it's set as a rat, but I kind of like the 808 just because that's what I've always used. So before using the drive, and let's try it after. Can't really hear too much, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up this tone because that's usually what I like. I'll put it at 8. And then the drive, I'm actually going to cut back on a little bit just to try to get the drive from the amps themselves. Okay, so that's getting pretty decent there. Now, you can always go and tweak a little bit more. I'm just kind of gonna go through and check and make sure everything's okay here. I'm gonna turn this compressor on too. Okay, so that's actually sounding pretty good. Now another thing you can do is if you want more highs, what you can do is you can actually turn this down. So let's say we put this at 7. So before, so we'll turn it down to 7, and then so you hear more of the highs accented. But normally I like to keep this this one at full volume. I don't mind, and this one for some reason I like it at 9.5. For the highs. Okay, so that's a pretty decent tone, but it kind of sounds flat. So what I like to do here is, I honestly don't even know what this is. I think this has to do something with post-production, but if you use an enhancer, okay, so I'll show you what it sounds like. So without the enhancer, and then with it, gives it more body. The width and depth are the 2 things you're going to want to work with. So, let's see. So the depth isn't too bad there. Let's turn that back. I like working with the width. Let's put it like 70. So that's actually sounding pretty good in my opinion. So Yeah, so that's the enhance. Now that's pretty much a decent tone, I think. A good platform to start working from. Things that you probably are going to want to work with are the filters here, because you can extract more of the tonal qualities from each, based on what you want. You could add different types of filters. So if you like a different frequency spectrum of some amp, you can basically lower all the frequencies except for the one that you like, and then put that in with another amp. So that's basically the concept behind this. So if you like, say, a Mesa Boogie, you like the sponginess of it, but you want the highs, of this 5150, instead of using the the Powerball, you could use the Mesa. Or there's so many other, I think they have like diesels or whatever they're called. I probably pronounced that wrong, but yeah, they have a lot of other amps that you can kind of mix and match, even for good lead tones. I haven't really experimented too much doing that, but yeah, for metal tones, this is a decent way because it gives it a very full body. Kind of you're mixing and matching your frequencies that you like of each amp. So. And the reason I put this volume here is because you can actually go into your, when you go into your DAW for recording, if you plug it directly into your laptop like I do as an interface, it's kind of hard to go into the Axe effects and know which master volume to change. So I kind of leave the master volume the same, and then I kind of take care of the volume here, and I keep it about like -18. That's usually where I go for when I'm using digital stuff. As far as setting up a decent bass to go and then start tweaking, I think this is a decent start. So hopefully you guys can get some good tones using this method. It worked for me. Hopefully it'll help you. If you have any questions, just feel free to leave a comment, and if you want to see some more videos, feel free to subscribe, and hopefully I can get some new videos up soon.